You're watching TVC News Breakfast. It's time to know what's on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers. I have joining me in the studio political technocrat, Dr. Dayo Kayode. Thank you so much for coming on the program. And our in-house analyst, Obaniyi Akinwale, they're also in the studio with me. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
It's good to see you. Quickly, let's see what the newspapers say. In the Daily Times, says as one of its headlines, the screaming headlines particularly, presidency threatens fresh lockdown. That's there in the Daily Times. The Leadership newspaper says the kicker reads presidency to Nigerians. The headline reads, wear face mask or risk another lockdown. That's for the Leadership newspaper. And the Blueprint reads, the kicker reads, Zulum to service chiefs on insurgency, establish stronger ties with Chad, Niger, and Cameroon. That's from the Blueprint. A Business Day is next. Reads, beyond tolls, Nigeria needs a sustainable road fund. There's much to that. If that is read, real well, we get a lot of information from there. And the News Direct, 2020 TI CPI rating, not true reflection of Nigeria's anti-corruption agenda. That's according to the federal government. You get details of that from the News Direct. And also the last one that I have with me, which is not the least, the Business AM, after 106 years, that's the kicker. And the headline reads, Nigerian leaders fail to list a single firm on stock exchange. And our Vanguard newspaper with me here. The Vanguard newspaper has as a screaming headline, farmers' herders conflict. The headline shouting at us say, law to ban moving cattle from north to south needed. That's according to the governor of Kano State, Governor Umaru Ganduje. And then the Daily Sun, northern leaders, Igbo groups, Afenifere want herders operations in north only. That's on page 6 of the Daily Sun. And the rider reads, Middle Belt Forum also supports the Kano governor's suggestion. You can read more on that on page 6 of the Daily Sun. And the Nation, Ganduje ban open grazing to end farmers' herders' fields. I think that's really making the rounds in the newspapers pages this morning. The riders read, federal government should make law stopping movement of cattle from north to south and herdsmen strike in Oyo communities. That's a cause for concern. And the next is the Punch newspaper under the nameplate, states fail to make vaccine plans. Federal government blames politics for delay. You find that on page 7. The writers read, it's the responsibility of federal government to provide vaccines for states. That's according to Kano State Governor. Politics and logistics due to no fault of Nigeria causing delay. That's according to the federal government. And the last writer reads, MTN donates $25 million for 7 million doses for Nigeria. Others. The next paper is the Daily Trust. The kicker, as IGP Adamu retires today, President Buhari to appoint new police boss. Extension unlikely as Mr. Adamu stays put. His time is up. Presidency official. What president should do? Afenifere ACF CSOs. You read that on page 4. And the last here is the Guardian, which is saying that teething problems, slow AFC FTA takeoff. Higher tariffs levies may deter intra-African trade, while Ghana has freighted first cargo and pending issues will be included before end of first quarter. That's according to Nigeria's rep. So what Ghana has freighted first cargo. So you read that on page 6 of the Guardian. Let's delve into some of these issues that are raised in the newspapers today. There's so many to talk about. But first, we'll begin with the presidency who is threatening a fresh lockdown. I want to quickly weigh in on this before we move into other issues. Let's start with you. What do you think? Do you think Nigeria can afford this time? Abuja, Lagos, and some other state like that?
Yes. True to the fact that there is a rising in the second wave of COVID-19, there is no doubt about it that for it to be stemmed down, there might be need for another lockdown. But my own question is this. When there is lockdown, that means people cannot go about their economic activities again. What will government do to be able to ameliorate the problems that will arise from such a lockdown? You could remember the other time, the last lockdown. People became so resilient. They couldn't stay at home again because they were hungry. And there and then, you were hearing a lot of people stealing, robbers, incidences of a robbery increasing. At the end of the day, we now find out that, yes, President Buhari, as the president, provided for palliatives, but some governors decide to heed those things in some warehouses. Who also knows how much money were hidden in the banks? So this is my own fear. Because in other climes, people were taken care of. Even Ghana there, Senegal, Gambia, there are a lot of palliatives given to their citizens, like non-payment of for electricity bill, this and that. But our own, immediately after the lockdown, prices started increasing. Electricity bill, petroleum pump prices, and all that. So because of that, a lot of people, it's not that we don't believe that there is COVID, yes, but there is what we call insincerity gap between the government, especially in Nigeria, and the people. So to that extent, it becomes increasingly difficult for people to go along with the government in stemming down the tide of COVID-19.
Right, that being said, Engineer, well, he's raised some of these issues. Dr. Kayode had raised some of these issues. Do you think when we go on lockdown, or just like the newspapers has already said, wear your face masks or you risk another lockdown, some Nigerians will say, well, it's just a threat. We know it can't happen. The NSAS issues, that came up, all of these things failed one thing or the other. Do you think Nigerians would really want to abide by some of these protocol that are laid down by the federal government?
Let me start by saying that lockdown mayor or no lockdown, what government has been doing in terms of containing COVID in this part of the world is what I've seen so far as a populist idea. In other environments, South Africa as an example, even our neighboring Ghana here, there are policy and measures put in place to ensure that they stem the tide of this virus. But what we have in-house here is that we run a federal system. As we speak in this country today, there is still a governor from the ruling party that still says COVID is a scam. As we speak today, there was lockdown during the first lockdown, there was lockdown in Lagos, but people still carry 4 at the back, 4 at the front, 2 at the front during the movement hours. During the lockdown, some clubhouses were still opening. During the lockdown, Lagos, Ogun was closed down, Oyo was open to business. During the lockdown, buses can move from Owe to Bega in Lagos and drop possibly COVID-infested passengers to trek in Lagos and come and mingle. Right. So what I've seen so far is that even the sole lockdown has never worked. If you go to our marketplaces, Maitov and what have you, even during the lockdown that you have food market open between Tuesday and Thursday, do people maintain social distancing? No. Do people stay in their house? No. Do we have people going to, you remember Bagada's story, people go out in the morning to do early morning jog and play football. That is Lagos. So what I'm saying is that lockdown has never been effective. The policy of the government is a problem. Those that are meant to implement the policy from top to bottom is a problem. The governors are not buying to the idea. Everybody, for example now, Lagos has opened its schools, Kaduna is just going to open its GS1, GS. So we don't even have a national outlook on what's supposed to happen. So some of the governors that are trying to play along with federal government was just to be seen in good of federal government and possibly to be able to see more federal government fund in funding the system. So for me, what's supposed to put in place is that empower each ward, each local government, each state to enforce the kind of policy to ensure that people use the non-medical protection, people ensure social distancing, and again, if countries like Ghana have dates when their vaccine will come in, if countries like South Africa has 1.2 million doses of vaccine already at present, what medical facilities do we have in place?
Okay.
When is our drug coming in? The Nigerian Governors Forum seems to be docile. They seem not to do anything because the responsibility of every government is security of life and property of citizens. And when you now have jamboree of these 36 governors and they have not prioritized what, let's say for example, outside Lagos, where do you hear about this COVID? Possibly maybe in Osun. Osun just came out probably said, oh, in our state now, we have 5 new strains. How many do we know that has entered into Lagos? Do we see the mortality rate when they bring out the list every day? Because Lagos used to have almost 50-60% of that because they have more testing capacity.
Okay.
What is happening in your state? What is happening in Ogun State? No, but so the problem has always been the policy, the people that craft the policy, and the people that want to implement the policy.
Right.
Sorry, are you aware of the governor that said all malaria cases should be treated as COVID?
Yeah.
So that will also amount to increase in all those in the incidences of COVID.
Okay, so well, that's an issue, and I know that will keep on being debated in the country. So let's move to another newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, saying the farmers' herders conflict, law to ban moving cattle from north to south needed. That's according to the governor of Kano State, Governor Marigan Duje. Northern governors reel out expectations from new service chiefs. Over 4,000 cattle moved out of Ondo as government starts enforcement of registration, no extension on registration, notice to quit. So how would you approach this issue? Because it's not been much talked about across the country. The Southwest, the ultimatum, leave our state, allow people to farm peacefully, et cetera, et cetera. How have these issues concerned you so far?
Yeah, you see, in fact, this one is even of greater concern in terms of saying law to ban moving cattle. Is it grazing cattle or the one being moved by trucks? We need to know, all right? But that is not even the bane of the matter now. Rather, a kind of relationship, good relationship, that have been existing before now between herders and farmers. I kept on saying it. Before now, we've been having good relationship with herders, especially Fulani herders. Fulani herders are peaceful people, they are loving people, and they are law-abiding people that I have been meeting while growing up. Even of recent, I went to Kara to interview some of these herders, and I found out that the Fulani cattle herders are different from Fulani cattle bandits. I don't know what there are differences. You see, there are 2 groups of people here which we need to properly identify. And without identifying that, we can't get to anywhere.
Let me quickly button on that. You said there are Fulani cattle herders and there are Fulani cattle. Does criminality, does it only apply to a particular ethnic group? Talk about the Fulani in question, because they've also come out to defend themselves that it is not exactly Fulanese. Herders are herders.
Yeah.
It does not really matter where you come from.
No, listen to this. Listen to this. The Fulanis, they are people that moves around. Okay? Now, there was a time in this country that I don't know why our borders were opened unnecessarily for people to come in, especially from the north. And the president even said it, that the bandits we are having in the country today are bandits from Libya. from that North Africa region, Futajalo Island and all that. Okay, that is one. Two, then why people now stigmatize Fulani herders is because most of these bandits, they go with even cows.
Right.
They cover themselves with herders. And who are the herders? Fulani people. And then you now see them carrying AK-47. All right, carrying AK-47. Now, why am I saying this? Is that it is not about banning movement of cows. We are all Nigerians.
Right.
Do you understand? But the president himself must be sincere about fighting of this insecurity. All these people who brought them in, how were they able to infiltrate? How were they able to infiltrate all our geopolitical zones in this country? Let us have a differentiation between Fulani herdsmen, bandits, and then the real Fulani herdsmen, who are peaceful people, loving people.
Right. Obaniyi Akinwale, let us see. There is this issue also on, this no extension of the registration notice to quit on the government. We support ranching, not Ruga. That's according to Governor Itola Abiodun. The notice to quit issue has also generated a lot of furore among these ethnic groups. You can hear about the president of the leader in this particular state saying his family is now in Ilorin, he's in Abuja. Do you think this tension can rise beyond what we are thinking about if it is not stemmed?
Let me first put this issue in this perspective. Do you think, or do we think that those guys that carries AK-47 with stick and go in with heads of cows are the original owner of those cows? You saw President Buhari, anytime he travels to Castina, the first place he goes is go to his ranch to go and feed his cow and what have you. Majority of our so-called big men, politicians, ex-military, are the owners of these cows and cattle. That is one. Two, the herders were only asked to be custodian of those cattle. So who is funding them to ensure that they protect those cattle? So if, for example, you hire me to be your shopkeeper, and somebody wants to come into your shop to steal maybe Bonvita or milk, I will attack. So what you will find out is that the people that are attacking are not these small boys carrying gun. It's people that, the owners of those cows, original owners of those cattle. Then again, I want to put this blame frontally in the tables of President Obasanjo. I'm not being partisan here. If there is a law in this country that forbids open grazing, no matter how we created African free movement, any herder from Mali will not be able to come to Nigeria to do open grazing because he knows it is outlawed in this country. You remember when former agricultural minister, Audu Ogbe, was saying Nigeria has the best grazing field at Benue Confluence, blah, blah, blah. If we are running proper democracy, the likes of Governor Akeredolu, Governor of Oyo State, do not have any reason to travel to Abuja to ensure that this is effected. Now, what I want to say in essence is that Fulani herders are not the problem. We need to start identifying who are the original owners of these herds of cattle. Now, the original owner of these herds of cattle, what provision have you made to run your business? It's, for example, I want to set up a TV station, and I come to TV studio and I said, I am working in TV studio. If I want to set up my own studio, onus is on me to provide studio facility to use. So let us start identifying who are the original owner of these herds, not the guy carrying the gun. Who is funding them? Then, if we're going to go to Jonathan's livestock transformation, whatever, or we're going to go to Buhari's Ruga, it is high time in every civilized clime you don't see animals going on the road, except only in this part of the world, where you see you can go to a smart city and you see cow crossing the highways. It is high time we restrict movement. And like the governor of Kaduna, as Latte said, if we stop this movement, we'll be able to identify who are the true criminals. It doesn't. Sometimes there are southerners that own cow. Obasanjo has fleet of cow in Taraba. And
Right.
you have all of that all over the country.
Okay.
So let's identify the owner of these heads and let's ensure that they do their business properly, make provision for how to do either ranching or whatever they need to do to ensure that we reduce this tension in the land. The country seems not to be secure, and that's the truth.
It's really, just like you said, is the truth. And everyone is really concerned about how we can solve these issues once and for all. Fulanis are Fulanis, they're ethnic groups. Nigerians are Nigerians, they're all Nigerians. But then we need to identify who really are these criminals. That's the point that has been raised on this table. Thank you so much for coming on the program, Dr. Kayode. Dayo Kayode, political technocrat. Really appreciate your opinion. And also our own in-house analyst, Obaniyi Akinwale. Thank you so much for making your opinion count on this program.